Now back to Marquee Media Studio and the HaneyBiz Project with your host, Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the HaneyBiz Project, brought to you courtesy of Comstocks Magazine and California Backyard. I'm Mark Haney, and today I am joined by Tom Kandris, the entrepreneur next door, a man who has had a tremendous success in building businesses with a recent grand exit from a company called Package One. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Mark.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Looking good, man, pool boy. Yeah.
I'm wearing the pool boy shirt. You and I were just in Cabo, and I walked by the shirt, and I think our wives said, you know what? I could see, well, my wife anyway, said, I could see my husband wearing that pool boy shirt. So I am here. Now, you and I live next door to one another. So let's talk about our first meeting and how that changed your life.
Hey, you know what? It did change my life because you know what? Friends and family, and I consider your family, are just hard to come by, and true friends. Yeah. And so when you and Stacy walked down the driveway with that great bottle of wine that I still have, by the way, I recently discovered my cellar.
Okay.
And I was about to drink, and I realized that this is what you brought us. And so we're going to share that together.
We got to break that out. Well, you have had tremendous success in business. Your business success has inspired me, and so we want to know what's happened in your business and some of that success. But you've also inspired me through how you give back to the entrepreneurial community and the business community here in Sacramento. So why don't we start off by just getting a little bit of an overview of your business journey?
Well, as you know, it had a nice exit with Package One, and it really has changed my life. But I've sort of lost perspective for a few days, a few months, and I'm still trying to gather that. Yeah. But just coming back to it, I had a great day today. I met with a great up-and-coming entrepreneur, Justin Booth, with Crown Supplies.
Oh, yeah.
And had a really passionate discussion with him. And met with another friend of ours, John D. Benedetti, who had a great exit only a couple years ago. And
Del
we're
Monte
looking at
Meats, right?
Yeah, Del Monte Meats. And we're just talking about how we can pull our resources, and you included, pull our resources to help entrepreneurs, but having people who have been there, done that, pull the resources together to help in a collective way to help this community.
So you've done so much. I've accused you of being overboarded because you have gotten involved in a lot of different boards and organizations while still simultaneously maintaining this, growing this tremendous company called Package One. Now that you're unemployed, if that's a fair statement, now that you're unemployed, what's inspiring you to help the next guy in line?
Well, you kind of look at entrepreneurs are really what's cool about business. So if you really think about it, what's cool about business? Running a business in corporate America is great. I think there are business processes, but what's cool about business today is entrepreneurship. What
is entrepreneurship? You and I have debated this a little bit, or at least wrestled with. What's the difference between a wantrepreneur and an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm not sure who actually will dub you to be an entrepreneur. And frankly, I didn't know I was an entrepreneur until I joined the Entrepreneurs Organization. They said that's what I was one.
Okay.
And here I'm thinking I'm just trying to make payroll, right?
Yes.
And so I think somewhere along the journey, I think when people see the sacrifice and the passion you bring, I think that's the point in time when you become an entrepreneur.
And in your story, you had this turning point where you had left corporate America, super successful in the high-tech industry, decided to go lower tech in the box business, move back to your hometown of Sacramento and grow a box business. And you ran into, I think, what a lot of us run into, or maybe all of us in entrepreneurship, you run into this turning point where you sort of hit this point in the road where, I've got to make some major changes, even though you've had such success. Talk to us about your turning point and how you figured out a way to overcome.
Well, as I think as you know, maybe some of your listeners know that in 2007, I about lost everything. And I remember somewhere along my journey, and I think being in corporate America really prepared me to be a good entrepreneur, is I really felt that sometimes I gave up too soon because it was too easy to give up. And at the point where I was about to lose everything and compromise my family and all the employees that were around me, I think that was a real gut check moment where I had to really make some hard decisions. And making that decision to maintain, and I went and asked my employees. I said, "Here we have a challenge. Do you want to? Should I believe in you? Do I bet the farm on you guys? And do you bet the farm on me? Do you believe in me?" And they all said yes. And so I doubled down. I sold the buildings that I was in, did a sell-leaseback, and plowed all the money back into the business. And frankly, my family would have been economically better off. I'd just take the money and run at that moment. But I think the idea of doubling down and seeing it through is a major turning point for me.
And then that led to the incredible growth of Package One, and then ultimately this very cool exit. You've described that as breathing rarefied air, because not very many people have this significant exit, and those who have really are breathing air that not as many people breathe.
Well, I didn't actually understand it and realize it. I mean, you were kind enough to come over, and that night that we did the transaction, and we're going to drink some champagne together. And I think that people were making nice little comments about what we had done. And when it came time for me to actually say something, I realized at that moment, and I toasted you for your prior exit, and I realized at that moment how rarefied the air was on how hard it is to run a business, how hard it is to actually have a successful business, how hard it is for actually somebody to pay you something for your business and recognize that effort. And I realized at that moment that it's a very small number. I don't know what the number is, but it's really small.
Well, and you think about, you mentioned earlier, pooling money as entrepreneurs to help the next guy in line, help them finance their growth, their turning point, if you will. You've been doing investments in the local area for some time, angel investing. I know you're not an angel, but you have been doing that invest. I've been doing some of that investing as well. Now we're talking about bringing on John DiBenedetti and some others who have they're entrepreneurs who had to deal with these turning points and actually found a way to bring things to a successful conclusion. But how much different do you think it is having guys like us invest into a Crown Distributing or somebody else versus just some private equity company that's got no personal tie to it, no experience in that world, if you will?
Yeah, I think that it's a difference maker. I think when you look at people who have been there and done that, again, it's rarefied air, and it takes a little bit of luck and a little bit of talent, a little bit of resources, but also it really requires support system. And having a support system around you, and you can, as many people as you can collect that have got that kind of wisdom and experience, I think the better off you're going to be.
Was there somebody in your life that showed up as that experience?
I've been lucky enough through my entire life to have some great mentors, and I keep in touch with them, some of them for 40 years, and to the point where some of them have passed on. But I think it's really great mentorship that really has made any success that I've ever had or ever experienced, I can attribute to those relationships. But they're relationships. They're not, hey, can I get an hour of your time? I mean, there's a mutual love and respect between you and the mentor and the mentee. And I think when you have that, then you've really got something special.
I think a lot of us wonder what it feels like to have dedicated your life, a big portion of your career to building this Package One, and then you have this successful exit, and you could do anything you want for as long as you want with whoever you want. It's a complete freedom at some point that you have achieved. And I guess I'm wondering, what goes through your mind as you contemplate this next part of your life, this next stage of the journey?
Well, I think right now I'm spending time trying to gather my thoughts and frankly look for perspective. Having an exit really, running a business doesn't prepare you for an exit. It doesn't prepare you for what's next. I mean, there are certain things that I think are important to me. One is continue to give back. I know that I don't want to be an operator again. I don't want to be held to showing up from 8 to 5 and dealing necessarily with employee matters and things along those lines, but I'm not done. And so what I want to be able to do is impart whatever skills that I have that might be recognized by somebody who thinks they're valuable, but resources, time, and talent, and working with people that I care about, working in a situation that is impactful, and then helping other people be successful.
Tom, I'm going to ask you to stick around. We're going to be bringing on Brian Holmes after the break. Brian and I are going to talk about his journey in building franchises, but then in our third segment, we're going to bring on Brian and you together, and we're going to talk about the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento, what I feel is the best-kept secret in business in Sacramento. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Audi Rockland. This is the HaneyBiz Project.